I'm fine. I wouldn't really call this a tour. It's just that the show that we're doing tonight came up, and once that came up, it was easier to add a couple shows nearby, like in Stockholm and tomorrow in Pori, Finland, to make it, just little, that make the travel a little bit cheaper for each show and kind of like be efficient, But it's just a visit. It's hardly a tour.
Okay.
But last night was great. I played in Stockholm and it was packed and played really well and had a great audience and no complaints.
Okay.
And then tonight's very different. Tonight, we have like all these different musicians that I know playing with me. I mean, it's even more elaborate, shall we say. Last night I had a couple friends playing with me, and then tonight there's like 10 friends playing with me.
So that's a huge amount.
I think tomorrow there'll be one friend with me. Well, pretty normal. We don't work together very often, so I've gotten used to the idea that we don't work together very often.
Okay.
And you know what? 6 years can go by pretty fast. With all the things that I do a lot of different projects, music production, side projects, solo albums, tour with different artists. So it's amazing how fast like a year goes by. I mean, I'm just, for example, like, I'm feeling like, Christmas and New Year's stuff is coming around again, for example, and I feel like that just happened, I go back and visit my parents every holiday, and like, oh shit, I'm leaving again already. It's like, this just happened. So time goes by fast. So I don't notice that it's 6 years until I add them up. I go, oh my god, it's 6 years. But I think it's good though. I mean, like, put a little space in there. When a band is on tour, you spend like a whole bunch of time together, so it makes sense to do the opposite for a little while. Put a little distance and space in there and refresh everybody's creative juices. Yeah, I can.
Great.
Solid States is meant to be kind of, it's really, there's a joke in the title really, because it's solid states plural, which implies there's more than one, which implies it's not really solid at all. Like everything that we're always trying to hold on to is always like in the process of falling apart. This is the law of entropy, blah, blah, blah. We, as people, we try and grab onto things and make them last forever. And they just don't. Things change all the time. To get used to that is a very good thing. We're gonna Oh, that was cool. We did something kind of neat. We basically crowdsourced the artwork via a contest, and basically we had a contest on this site called Creative Allies, and we sort of listed up our ideas and kind of what we thought the album was about, and things we thought would be cool, themes that we thought might be nice to include, and this one young woman named Elena, who comes from Moscow, just stumbled across the contest, and she entered it, and she really didn't pay any attention to what we were looking for. And of course hers stood out, because like everybody else was kind of like what we're looking for, but like not quite. And she was just something really original that didn't have really anything to do with what we were looking for, but it was a great, bold graphic image that we loved, and we liked her style. She did this hand-drawn thing. It's entirely hand-drawn. I mean, everything that she did, even the typography, and of course, she doesn't use the Latin alphabet every day.
Yeah.
So she really, it's hard work. There's no like computer involved in what she did, and I really liked that.
Wow.
Right. Well, Unlikely Places was mostly composed by my bandmate John. But I can tell you that, you know, like during the making of our last album, our drummer, who we've been playing with for like 15 years, Darius Minwala, like died in the middle of everything.
Yeah, we know.
And he was very young and he was very healthy, it seemed. And so it was, you know, death is always shocking in a way, but maybe, you know, if it's somebody who's really old or they're really sick or something, you might be a little prepared for it. You can never fully prepare for losing someone that you care about, but we were just completely blindsided by that. So a lot of songs on the record came out of this incident, this dealing with this situation, you know, and that's one of them for sure. Squirrel versus Snake is me looking at myself in this day and age in 2016 with all of the confusing, sort of untruthful and deceiving, I think, images and things that we receive about the world around us, and the insane conclusions that, like, politically that we're like facing, and all of these things at once, and just trying to understand like what the hell is happening. It's basically me almost surrendering to the fact that things have become so nonsensical that I'm not sure that I even will ever be able to decipher reality from the surreality that's projected at us all the time by media and things like that, which is not reality. You know, it's always reality twisted in a major way. So that's kind of where I was coming from in that song. I mean, it's like down to the human level, like where am I in the universe, and what am I doing, and what's really happening, and can I know what's really happening? Will I ever be able to tell what the truth is? And The Sound of Clouds is really about, in some ways, about facing death. You know, as again going through what we went through with Darius, and just getting older and all those kind of things. Like, it's time to start having a conversation with the beyond, you know, and get comfortable with it, I suppose. And I think I'm looking at both Unlikely Places and Sound of Clouds share one theme, in that they're both, I think, trying to take that trauma and go to an uplifting place with it, looking for, like, you know, maybe if you can't get meaning out of somebody dying because it just seems so nonsensical, like, how could this person die? Like why this person, you know? If since meaning is hard to come by, I suppose just trying to look at the whole thing and find some kind of peace with it is the goal, right? And so that's a little bit of that song's source. Well, I just met her traveling. Ran into her at an airport. And at one point she made an album. And she said, "Hey, I'm that girl you ran into at the airport. Here's my album." Thought it was pretty good. And she invited me to do some shows with her, and I invited her because, well, anyway, I said, okay, well, if we're going to do those shows together, why don't you come and meet me first and do a show with me in Seattle, where I used to live and have a lot of roots. So I'm doing this show in Seattle. This is, 2 years ago. And you should come to that show, and it'll be good for you. People will see you perform. They'll know who you are. That's great. It'll be a good opportunity because I'm popular in Seattle. Hey! And then we can get to meet before we just dive in and do shows together. It would be nice to ease into it a little bit. And what I like to do, I have a song from my last album. It's this song called Doesn't It Remind You of Something from my last solo album. And every night, including tonight, including last night, including tomorrow, I have somebody sing that with me, and it's for a female voice. So I said, "Holly, why don't you do this tune with me in Seattle?" Great idea. So she came to Seattle. We did the tune. It It was really good, like really good. And I was like, whoa, good. You are good. I think we should make an entire album of this kind of music together because I think it would be fantastic. And
Awesome.
we did that, and it was cool. We basically took the story of the people in that song, Doesn't It Remind You of Something, and expanded it to cover it's like an opera that covers their whole life from beginning to end and beyond. And all of, kind of just the general theme of their innocent meeting, and they get into drugs, and then everything spirals down and they all end up dead. Of course, it's an opera, you have to die, you cannot live through an opera. So we did that, and then we went on tour, and we wore cowboy outfits, and it was fantastic. I mean, it sounds completely dumb the way I'm telling it, but I have to say it was really good.
Okay, great.
I love singing that kind of music. I have to say that, I'm a indie rocker or whatever, but I think probably because, I grew up in the States, that country music thing is like, it's in there. It's a part of my background and part of my culture, and it just comes kind of naturally when you switch that on. I really enjoyed it. Well, the ballad of the record is just the entire story condensed.
Yeah.
They do that in operas. They kind of set up the whole thing, and they do like an overture, and they kind of set up the whole story. It's kind of like the overture, in a sense. So it actually tells the entire story. So then when you hear the other songs later, you can keep track of what's happening, because songs are kind of wispy and vague, that you can't have them too wordy. So this is a very wordy song that lays out exactly what's going to happen. As for Meet Me in Miami, Holly had that one written already before we did the album, but it just fit musically. And I said, hey, I think we can adapt this to the story, and this will be the part of the story where they're not strung out on meth or whatever, that they're kind of happy and partying, and they kind of innocently get into their trap later, but they just do a few drugs and have a good time. It all seems like it's all going to be fine, and it probably was fine at that moment. So that's kind of the role that song serves.
Okay.
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm probably picturing more like 3D real people,
Oh.
which probably wouldn't really make a very interesting video, but I picture more like actual people, so that I can get to know them.
Okay.
I pick actual characters and try and picture what their world is actually like and draw details from that world. None at the moment.
No.
I don't know what I'm going to do next year. I mean, we've had a great time touring with the Posies. We're still touring, so we have a tour starting in Spain next week, and that'll be great. And we'll go around Europe, and then we'll go back to the States and do more. But I haven't really figured out what to do with next year. I don't have to do anything. I can just do studio work, and I could pay the rent and have a fine time. But it'd be nice to do another project. It's just that, touring, I think it's good if I step back sometimes and not do it too much, so that people can have a chance to miss me and be more excited.
Definitely.
When I come back around. If I'm coming through town every 2 weeks, then they're gonna be like, oh, well, whatever. I've got some pretty nice guitars.
Oh yeah, we saw some.
Yeah, well, the ones. Oh, you mean online or something?
Sorry?
You mean like pictures online, or?
That's two, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, thing is, most of my guitars I bought in the U.S. because great guitars often come from the U.S., from the 60s, 50s, whatever, before. I don't have any guitars from before the 50s, but I have some guitars from the 50s and 60s, and I consider these things a little bit too fragile to travel, so I have a studio in Seattle that I'm kind of a partner in, and the reason I'm a partner in it is because I own so many goddamn guitars and amplifiers, is that, I take up a whole wing or a whole wall of the studio, and people can use the stuff. If they break it, they have to fix it. That's the only rule.
Oh yeah.
But it's a great asset for this studio, and so that's where they live. So I don't know if I could pick like a super favorite guitar, but because I have probably like 10 guitars that are just mind-blowingly awesome.
Okay.
That I see like 4 times a year if I'm lucky. So I go visit them and pet them and play them, now and then. And in Tour, where I live in my studio, I have some cool guitars, but nothing old, They're all like modern things. Well, there's probably a lot of things that I miss because I don't speak Finnish, and so I think the most interesting things are probably happening in that world. I mean, I know that, I know so many bands and so many singers and so many people from here that there's a lot going on. That's for sure. As far as stuff that's like really, really, really Finnish. People have played me this group PMMP that are pretty exciting. I mean, I know they've been around for a long time now, but that was pretty neat. Felt like they were kind of like a 2-girl version of Nirvana or something like this when I first heard them. I know they've gone on to do even more esoteric things or whatever since then. I mean, stumbled across many, many, many bands. Could I name them off the top of my head right now? No, I'd have to like look through my CDs and albums and go, okay, that one. But and then I've got, like the friends playing tonight. They're just, people that I've known for a long time who are in bands that have been playing for a long time. That are really good. That everybody knows, like Lemonator and the Late Birds and these bands who, they've been around for as long as we have, and they've been great friends and they always help me out when I come to town, so that's cool.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hoping legends stay that way. A failed William Tell